Okay, well, let me introduce you to Nathan. Nathan, I met in 2020, in 2010, and he was one of my first one-on-ones when I used to do one-on-ones. Was a commercial photographer who wanted to start doing some portraits. So we built a brand new, well, after a certain time, we built a brand new studio from the ground up in Northbridge. And in the end, was it 4 staff? I can't remember now.
Ended up with 4 plus off-site editor.
Right. Plus you.
Plus me, plus a bookkeeper 1 day a week.
Right.
plus.
Plus. And so in the end, I think by the time I started going off and doing other things, you were doing about on average, 700,000 a year. Is that correct?
It's pretty close to the mark, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So Nathan has really put a lot of work into SEO, understanding SEO. And I asked him just before, how many bookings per month were you getting? And you were saying you were getting about 2 to 3 inquiries a week.
A day?
A day. Yep. 2 or 3 inquiries a day from your website. And as far as conversion goes, 15 to 20% is average, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So that probably means monthly you're getting about nine extra bookings just from SEO. So I know that we need to have 7 streams of marketing, and this is just one of them. This doesn't replace any of the other marketing that we're teaching. This is just that add-on.
Yep.
So if you work out, let's say between 5 and 10 extra bookings per month. Does that work out?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 to 10 extra per month on your average sale. For some of you, that'll be 30,000. For some of you, it'll be 15,000. It just depends on where your average is. But that extra money every month accumulates at the end of the year to a nice tidy little sum. So totally worth putting the effort in to do what Nathan's about to teach you. And I feel like I'm hogging all the airtime. So go Nathan, just go.
No.
Step in. I tend to take over. You should know that.
Well, no stress. Yes, we worked together for a number of years. So guys, I just want to start by saying I am a photographer just like you. I have been in your shoes and still am in your shoes. And I am a creative at heart. So when we talk about SEO, a lot of people get, oh, it's too techy. I don't know what to do. What I've tried to do with
You read my mind.
Sorry?
You read my mind.
Yeah, with this course is make it not techie. To break it down into stuff that are simple things that you guys can do straight away from your offices as photographers, not needing to be some crazy cyberhead kind of, back 15 years ago, websites were all about coding. Now they're drag and drop and they're so interactive that you can do so much yourself. So I'd like to start by saying there are 4 types of people on this webinar right now. The first type of person has no idea about SEO, and you might be one of them. And hopefully over the next hour, we're going to give you, hey, Steve's one of them. We're going to give you a whole lot of information about SEO. The second kind of person is somebody who knows a bit about SEO, but doesn't know where to start or doesn't know exactly what to do. The third type of person is somebody who has an idea about SEO, but they don't have a plan. So it's all haphazard. So there's no rhythm or system to actually get their website ranking. And the fourth type of person, well, that's you. And at the end of tonight, you have a choice as to which one of those 3 you want to be, or to be a fourth type, which is somebody with a plan, somebody with something to do. So grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, because as we go through, there's going to be stuff tonight that you are going to want to implement so that you are ranking higher. Well done. Did that say Canon on it, Steve? Did it say Canon? It said Canon. Yeah. You've just ostracized all the Nikon users.
Oh,
I'm a Canon user, so it's okay. So guys, if you've got a pen,
I'm
you're
actually a
going to
Nikon
write
user.
stuff down. Yeah, So guys, I want to start by saying, if you don't know much about SEO, it stands for Search Engine Optimization. It is everything that you can do on your site and off your site to make Google want to put you up the top on page 1, preferably 1, 2, or 3 on page 1. So it's both on-site and off-site SEO, and I'm going to teach a little bit of both tonight. Another term that you might hear about SEO is white hat and black hat SEO. To break it down, basically white hat SEO is all the good stuff that Google approves of. Black hat SEO is all the stuff that companies do to try and trick Google into ranking them. But once Google changed their algorithms, all of the stuff that you're doing to trick Google, they will drop like a stone and your ranking will fall and you'll have to work your way back up. So everything I'm going to teach tonight is in the white hat SEO. But if you're like me and this afternoon, the 3:30 hit and my phone rang in half an hour 4 times with people trying to sell me SEO for my website. So yes, as I said, I'm like you, it happens to me as well. Those people trying to sell you stuff, they're often working in the black hat SEO. So as I go through, I'll mention a little bit of black hat, a little bit of the white hat, but I just wanted to kind of put that down as a foundation. Now, just before I jump in, why do I believe in SEO so much? Because it makes me money. Now, Steve already said that I get roughly 2 inquiries a day. It goes up and down. Sometimes I get 4, sometimes I'll get none. I spend $0 on advertising for my photography studio. 0, nothing. And I haven't for the last 18 months. And I'm still getting lead after lead after lead purely because of the work I put in on SEO. And I know that you guys can have that. So I created this course called SEO Power Plant. And the tagline is how to master your SEO and enjoy the freedom of consistent organic traffic. And as I said, 18 months, 0 paid advertising for my photography business. That is freedom of consistent organic traffic. Last week, I did a family portrait of a return customer from 3 years ago. 3 years ago, they found me online. They did not have a gift certificate. They did not have a voucher. They did not have any discount to come to me purely from SEO. 4 years or 3.5 years ago, they spent $6,200. Last week, they spent another $5,800. So in 2 sessions, that client was worth $12,000, and it cost me just what I'm going to teach you tonight in a bit of time doing SEO.
How did you manage to sell them less this time, Nathan? That's what I want to know. Like, what is going on?
$400, Steve. I mean, we're talking about just a $400 less. I have an excuse, but you're not into excuses, so there's no point. But yes, 6.2 and 5.8 were the 2 sales. So guys, I know this can make you money. I do a lot of commercial work. This afternoon, I was speaking to a mining client, purely found me online. We're looking at 2 trips up to a mine site. That's a $7,500 quote, purely from SEO. So you see me pointing at this. What I have is a 5-week course, roughly an hour a week, an hour and 15, deep dive training. But let's get right into it. So there's 4 pillars of SEO that I've kind of collated down. These are the things that make the biggest difference. So in the industry of SEO, I learned the hard way. I paid people to do SEO, and then I had to pay other people to undo what those last people had done. Now, through all of that, I learned what worked and what didn't, what to avoid and what to do. And these are the 4 pillars that I'm going to teach you. Also tonight, I'm going to teach you the one thing, sorry, it's morning for the UK. Also today, I'm going to teach you one thing that the majority of photographers aren't doing that will skyrocket your ranking straight away. And we have a Black Friday 20% off special on the course. So make sure you guys hang around, grab your pen and paper, grab some water, and please ask questions and Steve will feed them to me. So I'm going to jump in with the SEO triangle. So these are the first 3 of the 4 pillars of SEO. So scribbling a triangle, if you want to, put it on your paper as well. The first pillar, the first side of the triangle is that Google wants your website to be relevant. So it must be, and I hope with the lights in here that you guys can read that, your website must be relevant to your customer base. So why does that matter to Google? Because Google is a business, just like you're a business. They have customers, they have users. And if you went to Google and typed in something and you didn't really get the websites that you wanted, if you did that for a few days or a few weeks, suddenly you'd be starting to look for a different search engine. So Google want to make sure that they show you exactly what is relevant to your search terms. The more relevant that your website is, the more Google want to show you up higher. How does Google know if you're relevant? Well, there's a whole lot of things. But again, write this one down. The main thing is for you to look at the key pages on your website. So guys, I'm going to show you my photography website. And let me just share my screen here. And share that. And then go over here. Okay, so guys, this is my photography website. So up the top here, you can see that I have multiple different tabs. So portrait, glamour, modeling, our artwork galleries, commercial, and under each one. So if I go back to portrait, you'll see under portrait that there's 6 different niche pages specifically for each different type of photography that we did. Now, I could have put baby and pregnancy on one page, but that wouldn't have been as relevant as if I just had one whole page for pregnancy or one whole page for baby. Because somebody specifically typing in pregnancy photographer in my city, I wanted to come up for that. I didn't want to dilute the pregnancy page with baby photos as well. I didn't want to dilute the family page with baby photos and pregnancy photos. I didn't want to dilute the family page with pet photos, although there is crossover. So as you can see here, I had a specific page so that I was 100% relevant for each different niche. So I'm going to go back off the sharing so you can see me again. Okay. So what I want you to think about is your website. What are your specific niches that you are focusing on in your photography business? And if you go into one of those internal pages, so let's talk family photography. What is the heading up the top? What does it say right underneath? And I'll go back to that screen share again. What does it say as your, what we call the H1, the heading number 1? So on my website, family portrait photography, Perth. Very clear exactly what I'm about. Now the second part of the website here is the first paragraph. Okay, that's a nice little pretty thing. This is where it kind of, the rubber hits the road. For us, family portraits are about stories, specifically your story. So that is called a H2, a heading number 2. Now, what you see in my H1, my main bold one, and my H2 is the word family portrait is in both of them. And my keyword being Perth, my location, that's where I wanted to rank for, is right there. So have a look at your pages. Does the person hitting or searching for you see straight away what you do? Now, I've got a question for you. We're going to do a little poll on the right-hand side. How long do you think, once somebody clicks from Google to your website, how long do you think you've got before they decide to stay or go? How long do you think it is before they decide you're relevant? Lorraine, less than 3 seconds. Okay. 3 seconds, yeah. Studies show it's actually 1.9 seconds, guys. 1.9 seconds. So, as well as coming up in the Google search, what comes up and the text that comes up makes somebody decide to click on you. When they get to your site, when they get to that page, you've got 1.9 seconds to make them want to read on, or you're not relevant. So the first thing I want you to think about is, what can you change on your website straight away on one of those internal pages to help it be more relevant?
So Nathan, for somebody like Lorraine, who her business is zoo photography, so it's animal art photography, only pets, would it be relevant to, because she does do some exotic birds and reptiles and all those sort of things, would it be of benefit for her to split those pages and and focus on some of those niches within that niche?
The answer is yes. How you do that depends whether you want to do separate pages or whether you want to do niches inside your blog. So what you kind of need to think about is there's web pages, but a blog is almost a mini web page. So I'm not talking about the scrolling blog. I'm talking about a niche and a blog post. So you could write a blog post specifically on a type of reptile, for example. And so if somebody's searching for that, you don't necessarily need its own page on your website, but it's got its own blog post.
Right.
So what I say about pages is what are the key things that people are searching for? And you can look this up. Week 1 of SEO Powerplant goes through how to kind of look at what keywords you want to rank for. And it talks a lot about defining all of that. And Lorraine would have to decide, okay, how many people are searching for a particular, bird photography? Because, I know the Zoo Studio brand, with that you might have one page for cats, one page for dogs, one page for exotic animals, because somebody might be specifically talking about, dogs, cats, birds. So having a page for each of those, somebody might be searching for pet photography. That's the overarching keyword. And then under that, they're searching for dog photography. And I know Zoo Studio is the best in the nation. I love what you guys do at Zoo, and I've been following you for a long time. So it's great to meet you, Lorraine. So I'm going to keep going. The second pillar of SEO is, or the second half or third of the triangle, is that your website must be current. Who wants to read last week's newspaper? Nobody. The news is old. Stuff's happened since then. And the same is true when we look at websites. The older the information on your website is, the less current it is, and thus the less relevant it is. Now, in regards to Google, there are different levels of how current your information is. So have a think, guys, about when Notre Dame was burning down in Paris. If you were on your phone, like many people were, and there were news stories because you wanted the latest information, what is happening right now, you wouldn't click on a news story from 50 minutes or an hour and a half ago. You're most likely clicking on the news story that's 6 minutes or the one that's at the top, because it's the most current information. Now, you don't have a news website, so you don't have to be updating your website every 6 minutes, but you have to be more current than your competition. So if the average photographer is only updating their website every 3 months, and you choose to do some updates every month, in Google's eyes, you are more current. You are more active on your website. And have a think, it's not all that hard to update. And I know how hard it is to write text. So I'm not saying rewrite your whole website every month. That would be a friggin' nightmare. Week 1 actually goes through a framework for writing text, how to kind of put something together. But if you do change something on your website, it could be as simple as on your front page, major holidays or major events during the year. So if you're having a Christmas special, we're coming up to Christmas right now. It's a bit late to be launching a Christmas special in December, but
bad to say.
Yeah, it could be that you put your Christmas hours on your website. We're going to be closed from the 23rd to the 5th of Jan or whatever it is for you.
That's prime time. You would never close then.
I'm doing commercial photography now. But if you put your Christmas hours, that is a change. And then every time there's a major thing, and there's a lot, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, look at them in your calendar. Simple change to your website is going to keep your website more current than the photographer down the road who doesn't bother changing their front page. Now, the other way to keep your website current is to blog. And you've probably heard, I don't know if you're a blogger, but you've heard about people and they blog and blog and blog and blog and blog. I call that verbal diarrhea or blog diarrhea. And if I said, how many blogs, I've got it written down here, how many blogs do you think are written and posted every day? Another poll on the side there. How many blogs are written and posted every day?
So you just want people to write in the chat box, is that right?
Yeah, write in the chat box. Got to keep you guys awake. You know, it's first thing in the morning in the UK. It's getting late over in Melbourne, Sydney. Anybody?
Written and blogged every day.
How many blogs around the world are posted every day? Millions. Yep. Paula, you are correct. As of about 3 months ago, 2 million blog posts a day.
Wow.
Now, the guys who are trying to sell you SEO, the ones that I call the so-called SEO experts, often will say content, content, content. Content is king. You got to be pumping out content. And I say that content for content's sake is worthless. Give me quality content that I want to read, that I want to look at, and that's good content. So how do you stay current in a world of verbal diarrhea or blog diarrhea? You can be current with crap, or you can be current with good stuff. So in week 2 of SEO Power Plant, we actually go through blogging. So if you've got your pen and paper, I want you to write this down, because this, when I discovered this is absolute gold, because if you're like me, you don't know what to blog about. You don't know what to talk about. So very simply, on your piece of paper, I want you to draw up a grid. So across the top, maybe 4 or 5 lines down, and then same down this way. Now what we're going to do is, across the top, we're going to write some different writing styles. So it might be some trends or latest news for your industry, whether it be, you know, trends in wedding dresses if you're a wedding photographer, or trends in pet photography if you're a pet photographer. You could do a did you know? So this column here would be trends or news. This column could be a did you know? Just like I've asked you guys a few questions, how many blogs? So did you know in regards to photography? You could have some statistics or some research if you're that kind of person. You could have a product review. So if, you know, I'm hoping you guys are selling acrylics or metal artworks, because they're brilliant, they're different, people haven't seen them. Steve, you still doing the bird personalities?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Acrylics and metals for peacocks, they've just got to have them. Yep. So, you know, product review, do a review of what acrylic is. So across the top is different styles of writing. And then down the side here, I want you to write a whole lot of subjects. So that could be pet photography, wedding photography, glamour photography, boudoir photography. And then what you do is you go, right, pet photography, news and trends. So what is the current trend in pet photography? And a couple of years ago, it was those dogs catching balls diving into the pools, which were really fun and, you know, crazy faces. That was a trend. It's something that you could blog about. What is what do we have over here? A product review. What is a pet product or something that you can review? So this whole line is pet photography. And then you have all of these different writing styles. So suddenly you've got 4 or 5 different blogs you can write about pets, completely different. And then here you've got portrait photography. Okay, it goes back to the same, what writing style am I going to do about portrait photography? And if you did that, what have we got? 16, 20 blog posts. If you did 1 a month, just by using this grid, you don't have to worry about what to write about. This grid teaches you. Is this helpful, guys? Somebody give me a thumbs up. So that is in module number 2, we go through how to write a blog. Thanks, Lorraine. And with the blog, you get so many of your keywords. So what we talk about in week 1 is, what do you want to be relevant for? And a blog is zeroing in on being super relevant for a specific niche audience. I'm going to rub this out, and I'm going to talk to you about, in regards to keywords, everybody wants to rank. And if I said, you guys, what do you want to rank for? You know, like my family photography, Perth is the big overarching keyword. but Perth is the one everybody wants to rank for. So it's tough. So if you have a graph of the number of users up here, and then the specificness of the keyword this way, it goes like this. And you notice how this side doesn't actually dive to the bottom. It kind of flattens off. This here is where you've got very specific search terms. So Google is going to what they're calling long tail search terms because people are asking their phone questions. Have you guys done it? Google, what's the weather in Perth now? That is a really long tail keyword. And so people are searching very specifically, but there's not a lot because they're so specific. However, the people that are searching specifically want a specific answer. They're not looking up here for photographer Perth. They're not in the millions. They might only be in the hundreds, but they're very specific in the hundreds. So while this person could want a wedding, a family portrait, a commercial shot, a commercial portrait, a passport photo, all of that, yeah, there's a heck of a lot of searches. The actual chance of booking them, because they're so varied, they're not as relevant to actually making a sale. So think about these, what we call long tail keywords for your blogs. Write specific blogs aimed at a specific target market, and they hang on your website for a long time. The other great thing about blogs is you can link from Facebook. You can go, hey, check out our latest blog, fantastic photo that you've taken for a client, and link back to that blog. So you get content for your socials and stuff as well. I'm going to move on to the third area. I'm scribbling all over my whiteboard. I hope you guys are writing some notes and that you're getting something out of it. This stuff really does work. You know, it's made me money, and that's why I've created this course so that other people can learn and have your website on the front page of Google. The last part of the triangle is that your website must be built with quality. And I promised at the start this wouldn't be too technical. So this is the one I say, defer to your web designer. Now, if you are doing it yourself with a Wix or a Squarespace website, then most of it is done for you. For example, quality is your website responsive on a mobile device? Is your website secure? Does it have an SSL or HTTPS? And if I just lost you guys, don't stress, it most likely is, except when I did the research for this course, I found that a number of websites, big websites in Australia, like our Bureau of Meteorology, actually wasn't secure. Their website wasn't secure. Random, but it's going to hurt. Bureau of Meteorology don't have to worry about their ranking, but you do. So, so make sure you're HTTPS. The other big thing, and I promised you guys I would tell you the one thing that most people don't do that makes a huge difference to your ranking, and this comes under quality. And it's something that you can be doing straight away. You might need a little bit of help from a web designer just to get you started, but once you do, you're off and away. And for photographers, this is massive. And it is simply this: people don't name and describe their photos properly on their websites. What do I mean by that? You guys are photographers. You know, coming out of your camera, you've got, you know, DSC_3105.jpg or whatever the file name is. And if you upload a photo to your website called DSC3185, Google looks at that and goes, I don't know what that is. And you get 0 points for being relevant to anything because the file name is completely irrelevant. But if you change that file name when you upload it to your website to be Pet Photographer Brisbane, I don't know if you're in Brisbane, Lorraine, or Queensland.
Brisbane and Melbourne.
Yeah. Pet Photographer Brisbane, or Dog Portrait Brisbane, or Pet Photo Melbourne, suddenly that photo has a name that Google can pick up on. Now, I want to show you guys, I'll go back to sharing my site. Oh, lost my mouse. There we go. Share. There we go. So I'm just going to quickly scroll down to here, guys, and you can very quickly check it on your own site. So I use Firefox, right click, and you go view image info. There is where the photo is. It's called family portrait artwork. That's what we're talking about. So the name of the photo is family portrait artwork. And then the second thing that we're going to talk about in a sec is the associated text, or the alt text, family portrait artwork. So I'll just get back off here and stop that share. So the name of the photo is crucial. The second thing is the alt tag. So if the photo doesn't come up for whatever reason, an alt tag will come up. You know, back 20 years ago on the internet where everything was so slow, a little red box would come up and some text. That's your alt tag. Now, if people are vision impaired, they'll use a screen reader to read the website. That alt tag is what they hear to describe the photo. That alt tag needs to be relevant because Google puts a lot of emphasis on what that is. And the third part is the description. So basically you can get longer and longer. Again, we go through it in week 3 on quality, making sure that you're labeling your photos correctly. Why do I harp on this for photographers? Because lazy web designers don't do this. I made a booking about 18 months ago of a client. I said, how did you hear about us? How did you find us? And it was a couple boudoir shoot. And they said, Nathan, we were going through Boudoir Photographers Perth, and we clicked on the image gallery, and we were just going through picking the photos that we liked. And more than half of all the photos we picked were shot by your studio. There was a spattering of others, but the majority were Archie Imagery. So who are we going to book? Archie Imagery. And that's purely because we've taken the time to name, to alt tag, and to describe every photo on our website. Now, I thought I did see a little comment there, somebody saying they are doing that. Yeah, it makes a massive difference because you come up in Google Images, but you also, it gives weight to the relevance of the whole page. So that's one thing on quality. If you guys aren't doing that, start doing that. If you need a little bit of help, talk to your web designer as to how to get in and start changing that. But at least upload a photo with a name relevant to your page and what you want to rank for. Now, little asterisks here. Don't name all the photos on your page the same thing. So Pet Photography Melbourne #1, Pet Photography Melbourne #2, Pet Photography Melbourne #3, because it's not relevant enough. So I would get more specific. So I might go, say, so it's pet photography again. Let's go pet dog photography, happy dog photo, kind of derivatives of, and you can get creative, you know, pet with family, that kind of stuff. So you call each photo something different, and then make sure that your description, your alt tag is relevant to that photo. If it's a cat and you write dog, it's not relevant. Google will catch up. They will eventually be able to look at a photo and recognize what it is. Right now, they're not quite there yet, as far as I know. They might be, Big Brother, but as far as I know, they're not there yet.
Facial recognition on cats, maybe.
Yeah, grumpy cat. Okay.
So we've got a question from Afa. When it's a slideshow, it doesn't give the options to describe the photographs, obviously, because it's more of a movie file, I'm assuming. But can we name the slide? So I suppose the question is more about if you're creating slideshows, how do you best maximize the SEO on, say, video, like a video format, because that's what a slideshow is. Yeah.
So in a video format, there's a different type of SEO because you need to describe the video differently. Afa, I was a friggin' nightmare for a web design company when I had a website designed about 10 years ago, because I liked all of these pretty slideshows that did fancy things that looked like the iTunes where the photos.
I remember that.
Yep. Those guys hated me because I kept saying, no, can't use that one. No, you can't use that one, because I didn't have the opportunity to describe or alt tag the photos. I made them hunt and hunt and hunt to find a slideshow kind of plugin for WordPress that did allow me to. I know that's not the answer you wanted to hear, Afa, but if you possibly can, try and find a slideshow format that allows you to have the images individually, not so much in that video format, because you'll get more SEO out of it. If you can't, what I do suggest then is where you've got your images in the slideshow, have other images on the page. Because then at least you're getting some extra images on there. The thing is, photographers, our pages are big. You know, even if we shrink the photos down to screen size and you drop the resolution, they're still big compared to the average website out there. Think of an engineer or an accountant. Their pages don't have the kind of quality of photos that we have, but also the quantity of photos. So it is a challenge when you do put something into a slideshow thing like that. Yes, you can get a lot of photos in and you can reduce the size, but you do lose some of that SEO stuff. So there are ways around it. But if I could encourage you to possibly search for a gallery viewer that allows you to do the alt tags and the SEO, that's going to be better for you. Hope that helps. So let's move on to the fourth pillar of SEO. So team, this is all done on your website. This is on-site SEO, and you are 100% in control of all of this. What we're going to move to now is the one pillar that is off your website, and that I've called authority. So how much of an authority on your subject are you? And how much does Google get that from both your website and the things that happen off the web that talk about you? So what I mean by an authority is very simply things like the reviews. How many Google reviews do you have that talk positively about your business? Because Google reviews are a great way, because Google knows that if somebody gives a Google review, they have an active Gmail account. They probably have a login to YouTube and other things. And of course, Google's tracking us, and they know when somebody's logged in and they're using their account. And if they gave you a review and they're an active user, then Google knows that that is a real review. Go back a couple of years, you can buy Facebook likes, you can buy Google reviews. The problem is that those accounts are often set up, they run a whole lot of reviews, and then they're closed down. So those reviews aren't real. So build authority with positive Google reviews over time. And I'm really not telling you guys to go out and ask all your clients for a Google review tomorrow, but ask specific clients over time and build up more reviews than your competition. It's going to help you build your authority. The second thing about authority is how many other websites link back to your website.
Can we just go back to those Google reviews just
Yep.
before we move on to the last one? Looking at most people's websites, most people don't bother to even make that happen at all. So a lot of people complain about the competition, but in most cases, the competition isn't really doing a lot
It's so easy
in this regard.
Yep.
So, you know, even if you were to, you know, pick your favorite client of the week and make that a mission to pick your favorite client of the week and ask them for a Google review, I think you'd be miles ahead of any of your competition, bringing that ranking up, because you're taking action once a week.
So with authority, it's simply about having a plan. You know, I talked at the start about the 4 types of people. You know what to do, but you don't have a plan. If you guys make it a plan, so when a customer is coming to pick up artwork from your studio, you've already looked at what kind of email address they have. If they have a .gmail.com or .co.uk or whatever it is, you can simply say to them, hey, we would love a Google review. Have you ever done one before? And they say, no. Okay, I would simply just pull them around the back of our counter at the front of our studio. So they walk in, their artwork's there, they're really excited. Yep, it's beautiful, love it. And while we're wrapping it for them, I would say, let me just quickly show you if you wouldn't mind doing a Google review. I would show them on the computer. Okay, you have to be logged into Gmail. So it shows up top, yep, I'm logged in. And then you search for our business, Archie Imagery, enter. Up comes a Google search of Archie Imagery. And on the right-hand side is the little maps thing, some photos. And then as you look down, it'll say write a review. And I just say to the customer, if you could write us a review, we'd really appreciate it. And then I'd leave it at that. I'm not going begging them for a review. I'm not pushing them for a review. And I'm certainly not paying them for a review.
Do any of them do it there and then, Nathan?
I personally don't like that.
Okay.
Because, and I'll tell you why, somebody feels obligated.
Right.
And any obligation can come back to bite you. So there was a photographer in Perth who would give 2 free 8x10, 8x12 prints to every customer that gave them a review. Now, when a customer was on, they gave a good review because they wanted to get their 2 free prints worth $250 each. And when they didn't get their prints within 2 weeks or whatever, they turned around and wrote a negative review and said, we were promised 2 prints if we did this review. Google doesn't like you buying reviews. It doesn't like you compensating people for reviews. Don't do it. And it means that if you annoy a customer because of what you've promised, you're not going to get outed for buying reviews, because that stays on Google. And every other review then goes into question. Did they buy these reviews?
Yeah.
They're not relevant.
Just check the questions, because I just put in a couple of questions there. First one.
Okay. So
do you mean linking Google review to the website, or asking review in the website for a Google review to be left? I don't get that.
Okay, let me just quickly show you guys, just so, because we are running out of time, but one sec.
And then Nathan mentioned that there's a link in Google, on the Google business page, that they email to their customers. That leave it. So I'm just going to quickly search here for Archer imagery. Beautiful. And then if you can see here, we've got 62 Google reviews. And then we scroll down, write a review. Right.
So just click that and there it goes. So when I say, are you logged in? I hope you guys can see the top here. You can see that I am logged in with my Gmail. So that write a review button is there. If your customer is not logged in, then they're not going to be able to write a review. That's where you can ask them to write a review on Facebook or another website where you do have reviews. And that's what I do. If they are not a Gmail user, then don't waste them. Ask them for a review on a different website. Cool. So I'm going to push on with authority. I wanted to talk about links. So if something is worth sharing, I want you to think back to when that little baby panda sneezed and the mum jumped. I'm sure you guys have seen that gone viral. It's worth sharing because it's funny and people like it. So if the content on your website is worth people reading, other websites will want to link to you. 10 years ago, it was all about the quantity of links. Get links from everywhere and you will build your authority. It didn't matter if nobody ever followed these links. It's a little bit like now, put blog posts, put verbal blog diarrhea everywhere. It kind of doesn't matter if nobody reads it. That's going to come back to bite us. Back 10 years ago, it was put links everywhere. And what happened to me was I had links from Russia, I had links from Ukraine, I had links all over the place, but they weren't relevant to my target market. And when Google did an update, my website dropped off the rankings and I had to pay another SEO company to do what's called a disavow, to tell Google that I no longer wanted them to look at any of those links. It's kind of like if this is a 0 and this is a link kind of positive 10, negative 10. So this link is highly relevant from, say, pet photography, from a pet store saying, hey, check out Zoo Studios, the best pet photographers on the East Coast. That's a good link because it's relevant. It fits in that relevant category. Or something down here might be, I don't know, a link from a link farm kind of website that's just all links and it's not really relevant. So nobody can say exactly how Google do it because they keep changing and they don't tell you exactly, but it's kind of like a good link gets a plus score and a bad link gets a negative score. So you want to get rid of bad links. You just don't want to build them in the first place. And you want to build more relevant quality links that are relevant to your customers. So is this helpful, guys? Are we? Yep. And was there a question?
No.
No, cool. All good. So as we come to the end, guys, I've talked a little bit about SEO Power Plan. I want to tell you a little bit more about it. It's 5 weeks, and it is week 1, relevant. How to make your website 100% relevant. It's me like this much energy, sorry about that, for about an hour and 15. Week 2 is about how to be current and how to make a plan for staying current. Week 3 is the stuff we talked about in quality, but there's so much more. Week 4 is all about authority. And then week 5 is all about the little stuff, the 1% stuff that does make a difference, but get this stuff sorted first. Because SEO people will say, oh, you got to focus on this, you got to focus on that. I call these the 4 pillars because without one of them, it's going to fall over. So the big 3 mistakes people make when it comes to SEO, the first thing is they pay people to do it without understanding what's going to be done for them. And from my experience and from everything I've seen in the industry, if you pay somebody to do your SEO, I can guarantee they're only working in the authority, the off-web stuff. If you're currently paying somebody and they haven't asked for a login to the back end of your website and they haven't changed anything on your website, then they are completely not focusing, completely forgetting about 3 of the main pillars of SEO. I even saw in a Facebook SEO group that I'm a part of last week, where somebody learned about this stuff. They logged in, they checked their website and they went, oh, my SEO company hasn't changed anything on my page in 6 months and I've been paying them $500 a month. Does that mean they're lazy or does that mean they're working on something else? All the comments were, they're lazy. You're paying them $500 a month, $1,000 a month, and hopefully they're working here. But as I said, they're probably producing blog diarrhea that nobody's ever going to read and nobody's ever going to follow. They're working in the black hat stuff. This stuff, the more relevant, the more current, and making sure your website is built with quality, that's always going to be good for Google. Getting Google reviews is always going to be good. Real people doing it, being genuine. I have a saying, if you don't lie to Google, you've got nothing to worry about. So number 1, the biggest mistake people make is paying for SEO because they feel like they have to without actually knowing what's being done for them. This course is $347 US. Now we've got a good special on it tonight. I'll get to that in a sec. But the reason I made it that price is because most SEO companies start at $300 to $500 a month. Take 5 weeks, learn the stuff, and then if you want to pay somebody to do it, you can keep them accountable. The second big mistake people make when it comes to SEO is they think it's all too hard, so they pay for Google ads. They pay to be at the top. Now, research shows that between kind of 8 and 15% of people 8 to 15% of people click on ads. The other 80 to 90% of people will never click on the ad at the top of Google. So if you're banking on just paying for Google ads, you have to keep paying for them and your competition come in and the cost per click goes up and up and up. And you are eliminating 80% or more of the potential market who will never click on an ad. Because there's this perception that if you have to pay for it, then you're not good enough to be there. You're not good enough to be there organically. So that's where it's at the moment. It's different for different industries and the cost per click is expensive depending on the competition. The third mistake people make when it comes to SEO is they believe it's all too hard. And I've got a question for you guys. You joined us 40, 50 minutes ago, and I hope in this 50 minutes that I've been able to show you guys that it's actually not all too hard. With that blog grid, hopefully ping some ideas that you guys can actually do this. When we talked about being relevant, you can look at your front page, you can look at an internal page, and you can check the heading, and does it say in the heading what you want it to say? You can change that. You can change your text. So at the end of this webinar, you're that 4th person. You now make a decision. And what I want you to do is write one thing at the bottom of your piece of paper. What is one thing that you are going to do on your website this week? So for the UK guys, it's Tuesday morning. For the East Coast Australia guys, it's Tuesday night. You've got 3 days. One thing. And if you do one thing, one change on your website, and I'm talking on your website, you will be more current than every other photographer that you're in competition with right now. Simply by changing one thing. It could be uploading some more photos, it could be writing a blog, it could be checking your headings. And the second thing is, whatever pickups you've got this week, whatever clients you're delivering to, who are you going to ask for one Google review? You do those 2 things, you're going to build more authority than other photographers, and you're going to be more current straight away. So my last question, guys, is what is it costing you to not know about SEO? You know, Steve started by talking about the fact that I'm getting 2 inquiries a day. What would 2 inquiries a day look like to your business? And the thing, guys, is, you know, I've been there, I've done, you know, I've worked with Steve for 5 years. I've done expos where you have to call hundreds and hundreds of people. You've got, you know, 100 people to call in a day. I've sat there on the phones. I've done those calls. These inquiries are actually people who are looking for what you offer, and they're qualified. They might not always be qualified. Remember our kind of graph there, depending on the nurture of the keywords, whether they're specific or not, but they are looking to buy photography.
Well, when you're saying a 20% conversion rate, that's pretty good.
What's a conversion rate from an expo? You know?
Wow. Yeah.
And how much work do you have to do that? And how much does a lead cost? Because we should be tracking, you know, a lead from Facebook ads costs us, say, $30, $50 a lead. We book 1 in 5, so it's, you know, $250 per booking. This stuff, it takes a bit of your time. So could you guys dedicate an hour every 2 weeks to making sure you're relevant, making sure you stay current? Could you dedicate an hour a week to getting a good hold on it? So let me tell you about SEO Power Plant before.
Is that all it takes, really?
It is.
From a time point of view, if you were to dedicate 1 hour every other, you said a fortnight, did you say? Or
it depends where you're at to start with.
Okay.
So if you haven't touched your website for 6 months, then I would probably want to do an hour a week to get going. So this course is an hour and 15 a week in video, right, but it has a whole lot of worksheets that you actually implement the next week. So an hour a week for 5 weeks, that'd take you to just after Christmas, and then continue that for another month. You would be so current and so relevant, you would be screaming up the rankings. And
from then, every other week, once a fortnight.
Once a fortnight. And if you've got a team or if you've got staff, engage your staff. Say, hey, can you write a blog on your favorite type of photography? Can we do a video interview with a customer when they come to pick up? Build that content and just make it part of your marketing strategy. It doesn't have to be this big onerous thing that you've got to worry about. It just becomes every customer pickup, the checklist is, what review are we asking them for? And ask them for it. You don't have to stress about, oh, I've got to get Google reviews. Just ask them for it. Hey, Paula, that's cool.
Paula just said her other half doesn't know it, but he has a new job. That is so cool.
So, guys, I said this course is $347.
Matt doesn't know it, but he's got something more to do.
Yeah, he's going to watch SEO Power Plant. So SEO Power Plant, $347 US. It's been Black Friday, so we're going to offer 20% off. So it is $278 US plus tax wherever you are in the world. The computer will work that out. I don't get into that. And I am going to offer you, for the next 10 people or till midnight tonight, wherever you are, if you jump on SEO Power Plant today, I'm going to give you a half an hour one-on-one video chat with me and your website. So we will sit down probably after week 3. Once you've got a lot in your head about the questions you want to ask, you sit down with me and you ask those questions one-on-one, and we'll look at the back end of your website. We'll screen share, but that's only for the first 10 people because I can't be giving away hours and hours and hours of my time as a 30-minute one-on-one SEO deep dive onto your website, probably after week 3. So 278 US. Steve, have you got the link to put into the...
That's why we needed Matt.
I've got it here. I can grab it.
Got it?
Yeah. Guys, you will get an
Box.
email. Yeah, I'll put it over here. There's the link, guys. So that is the link to jump on SEO Power Plant. Now, there's one more thing I've got to tell you. I believe in this so much, and I hope you can feel my energy, and that I really do believe you get the freedom of consistent organic traffic. I actually offer a 21-day, a 3-week money-back guarantee. So that Lorraine says she can't see the link.
How's that possible? It's all panelists.
So
just above it, Lorraine.
So 21-day money-back guarantee. So guys, if you want to jump on tonight, 278 US plus tax, and then after week 3, you say, nah, it's not for me. Now, you can't get your money back after you've had a one-on-one chat with me. It doesn't work that way. But if you do this, this, and this, and then you go, nah, it's not for me, then I haven't done my job right. I'll give you your money back. So I really believe in it. I really believe it can change your photography business. And that's why I'm offering not just the 21-day money-back guarantee, but a half-an-hour one-on-one web chat with me, but if you jump on it tonight.
And Paula just asked, what if, where is it? I can't find it now. Where is the link? Why are they not seeing it? Okay, let's post it here again. I'll just post it again.
Yeah. What did Paula ask?
If there's a, she can't see the link either. I've just posted it again.
Okay. So Paula, what if you only know how to keyword a website and nothing else? Okay. So keywords are about being relevant. So keywords are brilliant, and that's absolutely essential. But while you're updating the text on your website, aren't you also being more current? Whilst you're updating the text and putting the keywords into your blog posts, aren't you being more current? So you're doing both. Your keywords are then what you put into your photo descriptions. So keywords, week 1 of SEO Power Plan is all about keywords. Well, that's one of the main things we talk about in how to be relevant. So you've hit the nail on the head. All of this other stuff then stacks on top of doing your keywords. So seeking the authority. So, okay, we've got a couple of minutes over, but most of you guys are still with us. In regards to authority, if you were to write a blog and put a lot of keywords in it, but then you wrote a blog for a business of one of your friends. So we've talked a bit about pets tonight. Say you had a dog groomer that you had an affiliate relationship with, and you wrote a blog for the dog groomer to put on their website. And then that dog groomer gave you a link back to your website. What it does for the dog groomers, customers, frequently ask questions about a dog photo shoot. And it's just a whole lot of stuff that they might ask is a link back to your website. So now it delivers you some authority, but it's what you're already doing. It's writing text, it's the keyword stuff, and you're getting a link out of it. And hopefully you're serving the customer. Steve, I don't know if you've still got this saying, Steve, but Steve always said the reward, the money is not the goal. The money is the reward for doing an amazing job with the customer, for really connecting to their story. You still say that?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And SEO is exactly the same, guys. The goal is not to rank on Google. And I've just spent the hour talking about SEO. The goal is to deliver an amazing artwork collection that tells a client's story. How do we do that? Well, we have to advertise. And wouldn't it be better that we rank quality photographers who know what they're doing and could deliver and listen to the customer story through all of this stuff up the top of Google? So all of those hacks out there, you know who I'm talking about, aren't getting those inquiries and aren't burning the customers that we know that we can deliver something really important to. That's why I believe so much in this, guys. Really, really do. Is there another question?
Biggest problem is that the website's taking too long to open when people visit it on their mobile.
Okay.
Is it mobile phone optimization also that you help with?
So mobile phone optimization. So this comes back to your quality. So another part of week 3, we talk about page load speed. Big thing for photographers, and sorry if I offend you, it's not all about your photos.
They hear that from me all the time, so don't worry about it.
True. So honestly, guys, your photos only have to be good enough to look good. They don't have to be pixel perfect, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in on your website. A customer can't see the difference. And yes, we've got mobile phones with 4K retina displays, blah, 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 blah. We need to kind of walk that fine line between having good photos and having it too long to load. One option there is having a whole different website for mobiles. So in the back of your website, I'll say a whole different website. The server recognizes that somebody's on a mobile device and it loads slightly different content than would load on a computer screen. Now you're getting, I said at the start, we're not going to get too techie. That's friggin' techie. But you can do that. So if that's really a problem, because
Robin would love that, Afa.
Yeah.
You give him that task, he would just lap that up.
Yeah.
But while he's doing that, he's not shooting. So he's got to be shooting.
Exactly. So you got to decide, guys, if you want to do this. The thing about, I guess, where I want to bring you is to the point where you understand some of this stuff, and then you can pay people to do it, but they do it properly. Because if you go to your web designer, they're going to go, oh, page load speed, what's that? Because they're into making pretty things. Oh, photographers are into making pretty things. When we forget the story of the customer, we don't connect to the heart, and thus we don't create an artwork that they can't walk away without. That's our journey. Web designers want to just make it pretty. SEO people want to make it SEO. You've got to join the two. So depending on where you're at, learn this stuff. And then I say at the start of the course, one of my objectives is to make you dangerous to the people who are trying to rip you off. Because if you know this stuff, you can go in and say, oh, what about this? And a lazy web designer won't even come up with that idea. Because for them, you're just another number. They're just building another site. They're just churning it out. I actually had a meeting with a web design company about putting the names on the photos for their customers. And they said, oh, our customers don't pay us enough to do that. And I went, that is just website building 101. I would be super offended if my website company didn't do that. And these guys were making $3,000 to $5,000 websites, just churning them out. No, we don't get paid enough to put alt tags on customers' photos. How offensive is that? You know? Any more questions there?
No. You've nailed them all.
Sorry for my energy, guys.
Never apologize for energy, Nathan, ever.
But take the piece of paper that you guys have written down. Please do one thing. Change one thing. You will be more current. You deserve to rank, and I know you can get there. You start implementing and making a plan, put it in your diary to change something on your website at least once a month. You'll be more current and more relevant than any other photographer in your area. We didn't even touch on how to get specific with blogs, but there's so much more to talk about. 5 hours in there, but hopefully we've scratched the surface for you tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nathan. That was really awesome. Yeah, I learned a bit. I know that I've got to get Matt onto some of this. He's got a job to do tomorrow, or maybe 2 or 3. And I've got so many blog posts that I've never published. So I need to get onto and hit that whole publish button again.
The thing about blogs, so guys, I do a bit of commercial photography. And when I'm sitting in a conference, I'll photograph for the first 5 minutes of a speaker, and then they'll be talking away for half an hour. I've got nothing to do. I sit down the back and I start writing a blog on my phone, just typing it out. And then I put it down, I go and shoot the next speaker, sit down, write another blog. And then at the end of the day, it's, it might not be spell checked, it might not be great, but I just send it to myself and then it sits there in the bank. And then when I come to my blog writing time, I've got this bank of half-written blogs. Just pull one out, finish it, put some nice photos on it, make sure that they're alt tagged, and then post it. Airplanes, great time. I wrote half of this course flying to the States for my coaching training. That's where I, sitting in the back of a 747, wrote half of this course. Use the time that you've had. How often should you blog, Paula? I would suggest, okay, How often do your competitors blog? You just have to blog
Never.
one day more than them. Exactly. So you don't, like, we don't want verbal diarrhea. We don't want blog diarrhea from you. Give me quality content. I don't want to load you with just another thing that you have to do. You know?
I think for our industry, it's really easy because all you need to do is pick one client a week and write something about them, add a couple of photos, and there's your blog post pretty much done.
So with the grid, you know, that's week 2. We go through that grid in a lot more detail. But with that grid, it's so easy to go, what are the frequently asked questions about 5 different subjects? There's 5 blog posts. If you've got staff, what's your favorite thing about working here? What kind of photo shoot do you love? Or what do you love doing in this? Write me 300 words on it. Oh, I don't know how to do that. Okay, introduce the subject. We go through all of that, line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. We just lay it all out for you. You're not writing Shakespeare. A blog doesn't have to be a 2,000 word essay. You need to connect with your customers on a real basis. Your heart, your soul of your business comes through in your blogs. It's like a communication. So if you want to, grab your phone and do voice to text on your phone and just talk it into your phone. Copy it, email it to yourself. It'll be all messed around. You'll have to kind of rework it, but it's got your voice. It's got your mannerisms in it.
You're making it too easy, Nathan. Like, I'm not quite sure what other excuses I can possibly come up with.
Yeah. So guys, I would say blog once a month. Set out for blogging once a month. Now, you're still with us. So obviously you're listening and you're engaging and you haven't got sick of me talking yet. And we're over time. Why do I say blog once a month? Sorry, I went off track. I've got a challenge for you. If you've still got that piece of paper around, and this is going to blow your mind. If you've worked with Steve, Steve will always challenge you. And I've, you know, sat down and gone, how can I cull a photo shoot down to get ready to do a viewing between shoot and viewing while the customer's having a coffee in 20 minutes? Well, because Steve stood there over my back going, next.
Talking about
next.
20 minutes, 8 minutes. That's
20 minutes
what the goal was.
Download and, because back then, 10 years ago, we didn't have these Wi-Fi things.
Right.
Yeah. So with Steve on your back, you can get it done. I want you to try and write a blog in 15 minutes. Turn everything off on your computer in regards to your email, your phone and everything. Pick your subject and just start writing. And I personally prefer pen and paper. Just start writing and see what you come up with. Don't do any research. Don't go, oh, I wonder, don't look on a thesaurus for pretty words. Just write for 15 minutes. And I reckon, and I'd love to hear your feedback on this, if you can do it, I reckon you'll get 70 to 80% of a blog post written in 15 minutes if you just focus on it. If you sit there with your email open, a bit of editing going on, the phone ringing in the background, it'll take you a day. But if you just write for 15 minutes, you'll probably get the good gist of a blog post out and done. Lorraine's accepted the challenge. So guys, we're going to kind of sum up. Has anybody got any last questions about SEO? You can tell I'm passionate about it because it's changed my life. It honestly has made me money. And I know it can make you money. And it's money you don't have to sit on the phone for doing all of those outbound cold calling, which is one of the hardest things about, I think, the photography industry. We love shooting. Some people love editing, not myself. We love serving our customers, and this brings customers who want to be served, customers who are looking for what we offer. And then we just get to go to that deeper level and really make a difference in their lives. So, and now I have to do it. Oh, that's you.
Because Lorraine accepted the challenge.
Yeah, and now Steve has to do it. Cool, guys. Well, let's end it there. I hope it's been helpful. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. Please implement. That's one thing about, as a high performance coach, I'm all about implementing. I can teach you this stuff. You can put that piece of paper under and never do anything. You've wasted an hour of your life. If you implement and actually do something about it, you're going to reap the rewards. Love you to jump on that. You've got a 3-week money back guarantee if you can stand me for 3 weeks. And you've got heaps of worksheets that will help you out. Remember, guys, it's $278 plus tax. It's 20% off for you guys for being on this webinar.
Thanks again, Nathan. That was awesome.
Excellent.
I got heaps. I've got a long list of things for Matt to do. So lucky he should have been on this so he could hear all the things that he needs to get moving on.
He can maybe watch the replay.
Cool.
Excellent. Thanks, Steve. See everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.